Everyone loves a good bargain. I remember back when I was just 8 years old, my family was traveling to Disneyland, my favorite place on earth. And what they told me to do at the ticket counter was sit in my baby sister's stroller, and they picked her up and they looked at the ticket attendant and were like, 2 baby passes, please. Turns out I broke the stroller and we ended up paying more. So anyway, you win some, you lose some. This continued through high school. When I was in 9th grade, my parents once came to me and said, get dressed up, we have a very important evening. I'm like, oh great, are we going out for a fancy dinner? Turns out no, there was a college fair in my high school and my parents wanted me to look nice to impress all those admissions officers. So I suited up, we did hair, we did makeup, I picked up my little briefcase and we headed off to school. Once I got there, I received strict instructions from my parents to tell everyone that I was in 11th grade, not 9th grade, so they'd take me seriously. I was also in 11th grade the next year and the year after that for 3 years. Anyway, all the chess club nerds and band geeks were swarming around the Stanford and Berkeley tables. I was a little bored, so I thought I'd wander around a little bit, check out the other tables. And then I saw it, with a halo and music playing, my dream school, the West Point Military Academy. As you know, I love history and I'd read about the Civil War and World War II, and graduates of West Point were generals who led these armies to freedom over tyranny. So I wanted to join their ranks. I walked up to the West Point table and said, hey, I would love to join your class of 2011. They took one look at me and were like, nah, I think we'll pass. But then I begged and I begged and I begged, and they were like, okay, we'll tell you what we're looking for. 60% is academics, 30% is leadership, and 10% is physical fitness. I had exactly 90% of that, which is never good enough. And then my mom found me and said, what are you doing here? I did not spend so much time and so much energy raising you so you could run off to battle and get yourself killed. Kind of dark for Athena Speaks, but anyway, kids should learn. So mom dragged me to the Stanford table where I belonged. All right, now I don't get this Stanford lady. Okay, she was like, oh, Stanford is so great in A and B and C and blah, blah, blah. Madam, you don't need to sell to us. All the chess club nerds and band geeks and math club and science club and robotics club, we were born sold for Stanford. Well, maybe not, because Stanford was the only school I didn't get into. I guess I should have been more sold. It was probably the suit. Should have worn a different suit. One day when I was actually in 11th grade, finishing up the term, my parents come up to my room and said, Beta, you've been studying so hard. We're gonna take you on a vacation. I was like, Mummy, Papa, I've been waiting for this day. Thank you so much. Where are we going? Hawaii? Florida? They said, yeah, something like that. Turns out we're gonna go on a college tour. We take a red-eye flight to New York, rent a car, we go to Columbia, go to Cornell, go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I even dragged them to West Point, right? I took a page from my favorite general's book and I lay down on the ground, started screaming and crying until they did what I wanted. So we all went to West Point. It was great. I've been doing push-ups, so I was at 92% right now. But everything came together when I went to Princeton. Again, the halo emerged, music played. I was enchanted by the campus. It was a very Hogwarts feel. I got to see Where a Beautiful Mind was shot, one of my favorite movies. And you can't make this up, I also saw young gentlemen in white sweater vests, very Indian test match style, playing croquet on the lawns. And I said, oh my God, this is the place for me. Turns out they were just messing with all of us visiting the campus that day, but I only learned that when I actually got to Princeton and I was doing the same thing. So much more enchanting than that urban dump in the middle of Boston, Harvard. I mean, why would anyone apply there? Well, I did. But I didn't apply to Yale. And why? Because the US president at that time was George W. Bush, who was the infamous invader of Iraq and not very well liked by my family. So we thought George W. Bush went to Yale, therefore if I go to Yale I will be more like George W. Bush, hence I must not apply to Yale. I mean, could there be a worse Republican president than George W. Bush? So the lesson here, it's never too early to start thinking about colleges. Do your research. If you can't visit, there are plenty of online materials. You can reach out to us. We'll be happy to point you in the right direction. And then number 3, do things specifically about culture, right? Do you like sipping afternoon tea with the college president? Or do you want a more sports-like environment? These are items to think about. All right, so more on this in the next video. We're gonna do something really fun. Please join us.